Esto es Health Tech Dialogues, un puente desde la gestión y la política sanitarias hacia la transformación digital, los datos y la inteligencia artificial. Today we are interviewing Alexandros Sagkriotis, a top senior real-world evidence expert.
Alex, will you tell us these days which project regarding data or technology or something in between has you excited?
It's not about these days, it's about actually last years that I had the privilege to work a lot with AI. I make a huge investment there, personal investment, if you wish, because I perceive this is a trend, this is the future. And we all know that there are multiple ways of applying such innovative solutions. I have tried personally from enriching data sources, NLP, predictive modeling, because as mathematician is very close to my heart. Process of imaging, which is, I believe, is a very good experience and the future, because I see a lot of benefit for the healthcare system and the patients. And in general, whatever is supporting personalized medicine, and I define personalized medicine as the care who becomes available to every individual. Okay, so I'm very much interested in those solutions. As I said, there are many ways how we apply social media for communication purposes, but I'm mainly interested in the things that they can improve patient lives in a way.
Okay, so let's say that we have the building blocks. You mentioned a few of them: personalized medicine, we have digital, we have data, we have AI, we have natural language processing, real world evidence. So let's try to play a bit with them, to play Lego a bit. How did it work, and how does it work looking at the future? Is it that real world evidence is more needed, and then we bring tools to make it possible? Is it that because we have better tools, technological tools, and we can pull better real evidence, then everyone realizes and it starts having more importance? Is it all about precision medicine and the rest is just tools? How do you picture this for someone who wants to know?
I mean, we have tools in place. We keep developing. In some cases, I even feel that we have more tools that we can adopt in a way. The same applies also for the real-world evidence and a lot of innovation that we have there. Sometimes I even feel that what we are discussing is more an academic exercise, rather something which is aligned to our strategy or who is benefit the patient at the end. But you did point to some things like AI, you said about real-world evidence, all that is go together, personalized medicine. So for me, everything goes together. How I see personalized medicine requires not only drugs, requires innovative solutions like AI, digital devices, and of course require the generation of continuous qualitative data, real data. So everything comes together in order to speak, to be in a position to speak, as I said before, for personalized medicine, which is targeting every single patient.
Some people ask sometimes, how ready are the agencies for actual technology-generated real-world evidence, streamline of information? How realistic is this versus just an idea of those who like technology?
Well, we have done big steps. Again, it's my opinion that regulators are having more cautious and smaller steps compared to the industry I'm supporting years now. And I fully agree on that, right? The quality of the data matters. If we see the global regulators, they have released multiple guidelines. Somewhere there was a publication, a recent publication in 2025, that they have captured 58 guidelines across 14 global regulators. So there is a lot, many policies in place, many regulations in place. Harmonization is not really there, but there is a common denominator. So if you read all that, everything is speaking about data quality. Everything is talking about interoperability. Everything is talking about reproducibility, right? Every regulator is using the same words. So I think this is the baseline. We need to start from there. And then we go to governance, and then we start now creating actually across different regulators networks of clinics, and we apply federated data solutions that we have the possibility to collect data from different sites while we respect data privacy and the data stay there. And we have one example after the other. We have example from FDA, we have example in EMA. Darwin is the most known example that I think so far they have more than 30 sites in their network that they try to harmonize data and generate evidence predominantly at the stage for pharmacovigilance purposes and safety. So I see that regulators make steps to the right direction. All of them, as I said, probably the terminology that they are using is not very much standardized, but for me, this is a detail. Important is that we start counting more and more on the real data. We start using them to accelerate development. We are using them to give earlier access to segments of the real population by extending labels. Pediatric indication is also something very important. Rare indications is also something very important. So we are already using that successfully.
So would you have the impression, or that when you talk to your people, to your customers, it is a different one? Do you think that the tone of what they are requesting from you these days is shifting, is evolving in terms of supporting programs with data, in terms of using technology? Do you think that it's something that is already on the table, or just innovation projects for now, and then we'll see? How does it look?
I suspect that by customers you mean regulators, payers, right? I mean, this external or physicians in a way.
Your leads,
so,
yeah.
Yes. As I said, there is a shift. And if you look like 12 years ago, the way that we have been treating observational research is by asking an external collaborator to make a proposal. And this 2 pages proposal, it was a cost assessment of the project, it was the protocol, it was a statistical analysis plan. We started like that. And this was also the reason why I joined this space, because I thought there is a lot of space here to co-create and innovate, because it was not well organized. Then we started realizing that we need a bit of governance, we need a little bit discipline. Then we started borrowing things from clinical development and how clinical development used to work. Okay, and if you see now what the regulators are doing, is they try to save the real evidence space. So what we said about data quality, what we said about interoperability, everything goes back to, okay, I like to have evidence, robust, I like to have evidence that I trust. So I'm very cautious which data I'm using. I'm very cautious for the lack of randomizations. I'm very cautious for any bias. So they start shaping the space. And this is now what we feel in the industry as the most important. About any other kind of technology, I don't have experience from these stakeholders. It's more about technology that I came across as a need that has been generated and driven by academia, so the physicians, that they are very close to the patients and they see the patient's needs and they see how it's possible the whole patient care to be improved and simplified and optimized. But I haven't seen much from the regulators and the payers. It might be because, I'm not so close to them. It might be because, again, they observe of what they need to do next.
In the past, we had the situation of several drugs being approved or maybe being acknowledged or recognized after using observational data, giving it the, let's say, the level of clinical trials, and how deceptive that was, how there were many technical and methodological flaws, and there were papers retracted and everything else, and that affected the developments of this type of data significantly. Do you think that we already overcame that and we are in a new era, or that is still in the minds of everyone and we are more cautious because we have these problematic examples?
No, I think we're quite advanced on this one. Recently, FDA shared a report on which was naming companies and brands that they have been approved with the use of external control, which means data, real data, that they are matched with data created within the clinical setting. There are not many examples, to be honest. Observing the space, we don't have so many examples. And the other interesting piece in this report, it was the majority of the companies, with exception of one, as long as I remember, it was medium, big-sized companies. I don't know if I have now to translate that to innovation being represented more by the big pharma or not, but it was one observation. So we have these examples. I think it became standard. It's not those years when I personally came across, for example, the external control I did mention, that was like 4 years ago. There was a lot of uncertainty on what we have been doing, methodologically what we have been doing. There was many questions on the data. There were many questions, operational questions, how to license the data, right? I mean, to bring data in-house, right? Because you need to match them with your clinical data. You don't want to share your clinical data with external providers because they are confidential. There were many discussions there, but I believe that we overcame by years. We have simplified, we know how to do it, and we keep doing that successfully. Of course, there's always space to do it in a bigger scale. But we have examples today. It's not like when we started and we have been speculating what will be accepted by the regulators. Now we know. Now we can refer to examples, positive examples that they have been successful, and then we can copy the methodology and the thinking behind.
In that regard, for some time we have been hearing about value-based contracting, or I pay only for what it works. And we've seen several fine examples, even when I personally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the impression that this has not become the norm. It has not really skyrocketed. And I'm wondering, what do you think about this? Is this the future at all, or it's not? Because at the end of the day, farmers don't really want it, and they're never going to push for it.
I'm smiling because this is something I have experienced in one of the companies I used to work. It should be probably a decade ago. All of a sudden, it was part of the company strategy that we have outcome-based agreements, and that became strategy. A year later, it was disappeared all of a sudden. So I have not experienced, personally, I have not experienced in any of the companies I used to work an example. I have experienced discussions. I know at the time that we have been thinking a lot on the operational, which are those data, the quality of the data, who is owning the data, who is generating the analytics, how often, and so on and so forth. So there is quite some operational that it has to be sorted out. I'm not coming from health economics and payers space, but if I put that solution next to what is most common, giving a discount to the payer, right? Coming with a price and then take a discount, give them a discount. I believe what better reflects the reality is an outcome-based agreement. Okay, and what it makes sense to me is an outcome-based agreement. I promise to you that I will treat all the population. I promise to you my drug works on average. for the average patient. Okay, who is that average patient is another question. So for those who's not working, okay, I think it's fair to give the money back.
We can imagine a situation in which we don't imagine you're a pharma company. You don't sell a drug. You sell a drug combined with an algorithm that tells you in which patients you should apply that drug. Doesn't it look like a very nice future for humans? Why don't we have that already?
Again, 10 years. Trip back in time. And allow me to give a lengthier answer on this one, on the story. So retinal indications, we're still thinking we have a blockbuster, we have a solution which is used successfully for patients with neovascular age-related macular degeneration. That means fluid is accumulated in the eye, and presence of fluid destroys the photoreceptors, and if the patient is not treated, ends blind in 2 to 3 years since the diagnosis. So we have been thinking, and I will tell you exactly what the story. We have been thinking, what about for the successor of the product that we have now for the last 20 years in the market, also have a home-based solution. And I will open a big parenthesis. How these patients are treated? These patients, first of all, are elderly people. Okay, so that means they're on average 8 years old. And then you can imagine all the consequences. They might have comorbidities, other comorbidities. They need a caregiver, is not given if they have one. Their income as a pensioner certainly lower than the working years. And you need to bring these patients on the side, take an image of the eye. Based on the image, the ophthalmologist, and by looking manually, the last 2 images, needs to make a decision, I treat that patient or not. The disease has progressed or not. So I treat the patient or not. And I need to meet the patient after 4 weeks, 8, 6, whatever. And it's much simpler for everyone if you have a solution at home, a device at home, who's taking the image. If you like, who has also an embedded algorithm, because, again, academia together with external providers have developed AI algorithms that read the image, and rather than having an experience of ophthalmology reading that manually, then all of a sudden the fluid is quantified. So what about having such a solution at home? The patient takes the image at any time, daily, if you wish. The data are transmitted together with the image as transmitted to the site, and the physician invites that patient back for a visit as needed. We even know that this way of treating this specific group of patients is much more efficient than any other solution, because it's very customized to the need of the patient. And this is another example of personalized care, right? Then becomes really personal. Then you need to come. And it's not only that you have better vision for these patients, it's not only that you have better quality of life, but also you can imagine that you can save visits, because if a patient doesn't need to be injected or to be treated, doesn't have to go to the site, then you save time, lower cost for healthcare system, etc., etc. So there are many advantages. So we have been thinking, what about, together with a solution, also license such a home-based tool in order to support, to give back to the society. We used to say we give back to the society, and we mean to give back something to the patients. As far as I know, because that discussion is like years ago, this whole discussion stopped on the cost. Who's going to take the cost, right? Payers, they will not reimburse. Maybe they will not reimburse, right? Because the healthcare cost is already high. Every time you bring a new solution to the market, always you increase your price. Always you need a higher price from the standard of care. Always you go for a premium one, correct? And now you are saying I'm not only increasing my price, but also you need to reimburse that tool because I will have better outcomes. If you ask me, do you believe that if we do that, it will save cost to healthcare system? I tend to believe yes, for all the reasons I explained. So at the end, it's just a mathematical problem that we need to put all the equations on the table and solve it. And I believe that it will tell us that by doing that, this type of personalized care and medicine, then you save costs, and then you save lives, and then you save patients, and then you improve quality of life. Unfortunately, at that time I was close to this project, nothing of those happened. And actually, I have received exactly the same feedback from another company. We have been discussing, exchanging experiences, and they have been told me, also, we have been thinking to become a device company or a company that was also promoting acceptable drug, other innovative solutions, but the cost is what is stopping us.
Yeah.
So it's pity. It's all about money. It's really pity, and I believe that there is some work to do. Again, back to the previous discussion. We don't need solutions. We have the solutions. Okay, we don't even need more solutions. The solutions we currently have, no matter if they are called devices, no matter if they are called digital, AI, whatever, we need to absorb in the healthcare system. And I think this is the next step we should be doing.
Yes, and I assume that not always market dynamics go in the direction of what is reasonable or desirable today, at least as of today, right? The European health data space, do you think it is one more bureaucratic European thing that everyone will stop talking about 10 years from now, will be the past, or it's a reality and it's a game changer?
If I understood the question, because the connection is breaking, if today we are much more bureaucratic than we have been in the past 10 years ago, or not?
I was referring specifically to the European health data space.
Yes.
If you think it's an initiative that won't go anywhere, or you think it's a true changer in the space?
As I said, we have certainly increased the bar compared to the past. But again, I'm of the opinion that we follow necessary steps. And we need to be very, very cautious of what we do, how we do it, how we propose, what exactly we implement. We need to have this level of understanding, this level of transparency. So again, as industry, yes, sometimes I struggle a little bit more, but at the same time, I see the benefit. So I can't close the eyes and say, no, this is all about introducing complexity.
When you started your career, what didn't you think you would be seeing in 2025 regarding technology, artificial intelligence, these things? Would you expect things to be like they are?
What I expect by when?
Sorry. So years back, if you had tried to guess, yes, 2025, yes, how it would be like, do you think we're where we were supposed to be in terms of technology? Do you think things are going in a different direction?
If I go a few years back in time, I couldn't even imagine how particularly AI will be embedded in our lives. I can speak for personal experience because I have started using AI very recently, and I can't do without. So I couldn't, or I didn't think much. I was always knew that, you know what, now it's a new chapter. Now for the next 25 years, AI will dominate the space. The jobs, as we know today, they will be changed. They even say 60% of the jobs, they will not exist. We will have others. They even say that, you know what, all of us, it will be required to develop different soft skills, analytical thinking, mathematical ways of solving analytical problems or mathematical thinking. I couldn't imagine all that, but I saw a lot of evolution the last years. I happily see how much is being used, at least by pharma. But to be honest, I need more. I need more. And I need more because there is still some hesitation. There is still some uncertainty. Sometimes you feel that the discussion is who's going to win the battle? Is the AI or the human? No one is, or not no one. Some of us, we don't treat the two of them as two sides of the same picture, right? So two parts of the same picture, that they go hand to hand. I need the AI and I need the human in order to improve the care, the patient care. Many are skeptical, we will be replaced. Many are skeptical, well, you give me a precision of 90%, what about the 10? What about if my diagnosis is wrong? What kind of consequences that has to the patient, right? I mean, I certainly respect all these thoughts, and they are pretty valid, but at the same time, we cannot close the eyes. And if you ask me, we need to be even more aggressive. And when I say we, I distinguish regulators, payers, external stakeholders for the reasons I said. They need to take cautious, smaller steps, but academia, industry, I think they should start pushing this envelope, and they do much more than we used to do. We need to integrate in our life much more. We need to make a bigger investment. Back to the discussion we just had, why this type of solutions, why a drug plus a digital solution is not going hand to hand, why we stop, what is stopping ourselves? We need to make this financial investment, we need to make investment in the resources, we need to make investment on time, and push that envelope, because we are already on a journey, okay, and we cannot stop. So rather than trying to prevent slowing down, I suggest that we enjoy and we try to do things faster.
It has been a big pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you as well.